Well, the New York Times has a report today on the NSO Group, an organization that will let you spy on iPhone users for the bargain price of $650,000 plus a $500,000 setup fee. Now, what can you tell us about the NSO Group, Ian?
Well, they're a very secretive group. They've been around for a number of years. Based in Israel, the Israelis are acknowledged as punching well above their weight when it comes to IT security and IT security startups. I actually asked an Israeli at RSA why this was, and he goes, "Well, it's national service. I spent my entire national service debugging servers, and if you actually gave me a gun, I wouldn't know what to do with it." But Israel is, it's very high tech. They've recognized that IT is an area they need to be strong in. This is a country that 60 years ago their biggest export was oranges. So they've found they need to move on in the world. The actual NSO Group itself, it sold part of itself to a private equity firm for $120 million, and is now being touted as possibly $1 billion firm. We don't know an awful lot about the insides because it's private and they are very, very secretive. I have to say, based on the fact that we've only seen their particular software in use against journalists and human rights activists, I would say they really need to look at their corporate responsibility, if they have corporate responsibility. Because there are some things that it's stuff like that which makes people increasingly nervous and leads to calls for these kind of companies to be much more tightly regulated.
Well, their mission is to make the world a safe place.
Yeah, and if you believe that, I've got a bridge I can sell you. Their mission is to make money. That's what security companies are here to do. Yes, they're to make us safe, but at the end of the day, any company's primary responsibility is to make money. And judging from the fee list which leaked out, they must be coining it in, because those are really high prices.
Yeah.
A flat $500,000 fee just to get your hands on the software, and then a per user cost. They've really got to be raking the money in, because they don't need a large workforce. They just need a skilled workforce. And by all accounts, there aren't that many people there, and they're bringing in an enormous amount of cash. So yeah, they can say they're trying to make the world a safer place, but a safer for who? If their software is being used to track pro-democracy activists and journalists, they're making it safer for the people that want those people muzzled. So yes, all the high-flying corporate jargon in the world doesn't really get around the fact that they're selling this to some pretty scummy people.
Well, they're selling it to governments. I'm not saying those are the same people, but that is always the argument the government uses to look at our information. Like, this is how we're going to find your child when your child gets kidnapped, right? Like, this is, they want to instill fear in you and say, that we're only trying to find the bad guys. So everybody give us all your information and we will never do anything with it that's untoward, of course.
Yes, and it's complete bollocks. Look, they'll always bring up the four horsemen of the infopocalypse. That's child molesters, organized crime, drug dealers, and terrorists. Those are the four hotspots that they will always try and push. But if basically the idea is to collect everything, well, the NSA has been working on that, and all the leaks from inside it say that they've now got so much data coming in that they can't pick the useful stuff out for it. And not leaving aside the fact that there's a massive privacy issue involved in here. Having that much data is only good after the fact. It doesn't stop crimes being committed. It just gives you a better shot of back tracing afterwards. So I find those arguments to be A, deeply offensive, and B, completely fatuous, that it's all about protecting us. This is about having a measure of control which can be used, but it can also be abused. If you look at the history of the FBI, the days of J. Edgar Hoover, they were basically running the country from behind the scenes. And making some pretty egregious mistakes doing so. Now, they're saying at the moment, everything is fine, but James Comey this week was shooting his mouth off about how we need to have an adult conversation about breaking encryption for American companies to make their lives easier. And from everything I've seen it's not just the US government, but from most governments, at the end of the day, they want the information because they know it's useful. It's not about protecting people per se. That's a side benefit. But once you've got this information, you've stored this information, then it becomes a database that you can go back to and forwards with to get pretty much what you want.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I think we might have skipped this part of the story. The reason why the New York Times knows this information about the NSO is there was a leak. Contracts, commercial proposals, emails. If for a security company, doesn't that look bad, the leak? Or we're not thinking that they got hacked. We're just thinking there's like a mole, someone inside that leaked this information?
Well, I think what's probably happened with this one is that one of their customers or potential customers got hacked. The information I mean, if they'd actually managed to hack into NSO itself, I think they would have had a lot more information. What it looks like from this is that either somebody that they were dealing with or proposing to deal with saw what was going on and thought, right, I'm going to leak this, or the company that they were dealing with got hacked and somebody stole this stuff. It's always difficult to tell with these kind of things, obviously, because the nature of journalism is that you have to protect sources and keep quiet about where stuff came from as long as laws weren't broken. But I would suspect that this is one of their potential customers either having ethical problems with what was being proposed and leaking it, or just getting hacked and somebody saw this in an email and thought, oh, I'm grabbing that and going to the papers.